When I first started playing Valorant, all I wanted was a pretty rank that showed to others how good I was. To some people, their goal may be plat, some people's are diamond, or even immortal if they're really that ambitious. But I was one of many who wanted that all-elusive rank, Radiant. The rank that wasn't determined by strictly how much RR you have, but if you were one of the top 500 players in your region. In this rank, you were squared against professionals, the very same ones that you see during VCT champions, and once you are Radiant, you're not just the top 1%, you're the top 0.03%. So now that I've hit Radiant, I must be in the best of what Valorant has to offer, right? Well, let me tell you, it's really not as great as you think. Hi, my name is FLOWSHIZZLE and I talk about Valorant. If you end up liking the rest of this video, I'd be so happy if you could like and subscribe to support the channel. It'd mean the world to me. I stream on Twitch and YouTube Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 12 p.m. EST, so I hope to see you there. Alright, first of all, let me just say that I liked Valorant actually a lot more before I hit Radiant than after. Before I hit it, I saw it as a fun game with a purpose of playing to get better. You want to get a win, so you're a little closer to your goal, and every single point of RR gained fueled you to keep playing. But now I've hit the goal, so it's more like, well now. Don't get me wrong, I still find Valorant really fun to play, but without the personal motivation side of it, it seems a little bit empty. Okay, with that out of the way, let me show you how I see Valorant now. I load into a game and in my mind, I'm already thinking, are these teammates going to be good teammates that calm and make the game enjoyable? Or am I going to be tethered to some toxic, racist, or possibly terrible human beings that will hold me hostage for this game? I know a lot of you guys think that Valorant gets better the higher rank you are, and while a certain level, that's true, but it might be a little bit different than what you're used to. Everyone at this elo generally knows or has played with each other at some point. This creates good dynamics where people are sometimes just friendly off the bat, and then terrible ones where they just start trash talking each other in agent select. It feels like roulette when your game could end in a loss before a single round is even played. I know it might sound like something you've faced in ranked, but what I've realized is that after hitting Radiant, my tolerance for this is just so much lower now. I used to just focus up and ignore them, make the best out of it because I want to at least try to win. But now, why would I willingly try to ruin my mood for the rest of the day when I don't have to? So every time I get a toxic teammate, I think to myself, why am I playing? Now, on the other hand, there's quite a lot of good that happens when I don't get toxic teammates. The players here in Radiant are mechanically better, of course, and more willing to play the game with more strategy. It's quite literally the difference between playing checkers between Iron and Plat and chess from Diamond to Radiant. Fakes are thrown, there's usually good comms, and teammates work together. When games are like this, I'm reminded of why I love this game. Whether we lose or win doesn't matter to me anymore. It's really all about the experience that I have. So let's say our teammates are fine. They're communicating and having a good time, but it's agent select. What agent should you play? Well, the sad part is there's actually a right and wrong answer to this question, and that's the problem. I've noticed that the higher in rank you get, the more you conform to what the meta is. In the case you don't know what meta means, in terms of Valorant, it's sort of like the most common composition for a specific map that most of the community agrees is good. Kind of like how one of the most meta comps for Ascent is Omen, Sova, Jett, KO, and Killjoy. The problem with this is that you feel locked into a box, and if you change up the composition, it's likely that your teammates won't be operating as efficiently. Certain picks will prompt your team to ask if you're throwing, and overall it's almost impossible to try to play a lesser picked agent without someone actively complaining that you're the reason they're losing. This also means if you're one of those one-trick players, it's kind of hard for you and specifically your teammates. If you notice, a lot of the one-trick players that are in high elo do it on agents that are not bad on pretty much every map. For Grim, Sage is almost never a bad pick, and for someone like Flex Ninja, Omen pretty much meta smokes on almost every map. But you'll see on Breeze, his teammates are forced to play Viper anyway, so because of this pick, the comp becomes a double controller comp. Now, I hope no one takes this as me ragging on one-trick players or creators, because that's not the point. And I enjoy seeing them maximize the skill for one specific agent. But if you want your team to be happy, the most consistent way of doing that is generally to conform to the meta, which is unfortunate when Valorant has so many different cool agents to play. Okay, so we picked our agent, now we load into the game, and everything's good now, right? I mean, yeah, hopefully. This part I'm about to say you guys can probably relate to. If you lose pistol round and you lose their bonus round, you're generally down 0-4. If you think of it logically, this is actually only losing 2 rounds in terms of skill, since the first round after pistol round is an eco, and the round after losing bonus is also an eco. So it wasn't exactly a fair fight, but it seems like there's always someone that wants to FF if this happens. I don't quite get the reasoning, but the mental in Radiant is horrendous. I think it's a combination of the fact that they want to win so bad that they see every round lost as just a huge problem. and thus pushes them to just give up. It's almost as if they don't want to play if they don't win, and the process of playing is not fun anymore, which is crazy because Valorant at its core is a video game with the main purpose of having fun. For the rest of the game, you'll pray that none of your teammates' mental snaps and you can play the full game out. Constructive criticism is always fine, and I've had teammates criticize how I play, and if I agree with them, I'll apologize for misplaying. No big deal. But some people's egos are so fragile that the slight mention of them misplaying causes them to mute. I've seen players who whiff an entire mag on someone and then proceed to mute the team and start running it down when the rest of the team has said absolutely nothing. This is the top 0.03% of players, and their ego is still that fragile. If you've dodged all the bad routes here, then you've reached the good ending. Your team, whether you won or lost, are happy and have a good time during the game. You don't walk away feeling bad or having negative thoughts about what someone said, and you are excited to cue the game again. I'd say this happens about 30% of the time. 40% of the time, it ends kind of neutral with no one saying anything. This is usually at the end of a loss, which honestly I'm kind of fine with. And the last 30%, it ends negatively with 2 people or more yelling at each other as the match closes. It would seem like the negative end is only a third of the games, but you have to remember that negative feelings tend to stick out in our brain for longer than positive ones. I don't know why, but I tend to notice that it doesn't take more than a few bad games to ruin your perspective completely. And it might take 2 to 3 games of positivity to write out that one negative one. So what am I trying to get at here? The moral of my story is to enjoy every game of Valorant you play, regardless of whether you get close or farther to your goal rank. Honestly, this applies more to Valorant and across all games, and maybe life in general as well. The magical idea that once you hit your goal and everything will be great is unfortunately a myth. The happiness you get from playing Valorant should come from playing Valorant and not some arbitrary pixels. Remember that as long as you're playing with intent, you're likely improving, regardless of what your RR says. And you have to think to yourself, if you end up like some of these sad people in Radiant, was it really worth it?